Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel. I am here to share with you the Tarot of the Sidhe by Emily Carding. This was the deck I decided on in my last Say Yes to the Deck episode 2. I will link that video up in the card so you can watch my deciding process to when I was narrowing down to what deck I was going to buy. This was actually the runner-up deck from my first episode of Say Yes to the Deck, and I just have not been able to shake it ever since. I have to say that I have spent a little bit of time looking through the cards, and I do not regret this purchase one bit. I'm really excited to work with it, but I wanted to do a walkthrough for you guys first. So this is a mass market deck, at least currently, and it is in print at the time I'm filming this. It's a 78 card deck, and there is a companion guidebook with a foreword by John Matthews. And let's see if there's anything else here I should point out. Open the gates to the truth of the Celtic otherworld. I'm just going to dive right in because these are really powerful images. I love that it comes in a two-part box. There's a couple of extra cards. This is a Schiffer publication. So there's that. I don't know why I have a sticky note. Oh, I was using it as a bookmark. I read the entire guidebook, by the way, already. It was just captivating when I first opened this up. So I'll share with you that. I'm excited to do my first shuffle of this deck, actually, because while I've looked through all the images and I've read the guidebook, I haven't had a chance yet to actually shuffle it. So maybe I'll put you right there. Okay. So I'm going to dive into the cards first, and then we can look at the guidebook together afterwards. And I think I'm just going to bring them up to the camera. Well, maybe we'll zoom in a little bit. That seems to be the way I've been doing it lately. Here we go. Now there are borders on these cards. I don't know if I would, I don't know how I would handle this, if I would trim it. If I did trim it, I'd probably take down just the sides. I'm not sure if I will yet. I haven't really been in the mood to modify lately, so we'll see. So first we have our Fool. Now one of the interesting things about this deck is that everywhere, I believe in the minors as well as the majors, there is this symbol. So you can see it on his heart space here. Let's bring it in right there. And what it says about that, it talks in the guidebook a little bit about that symbol being sort of what came through for the creator in relation to the Fae. There is a note somewhere. What do they call it? Ah, the Great Glyph of the Sidhe. So you can sort of go on a bit of a treasure hunt and I believe find those in every card, or at least in all the majors. I'm trying to remember. So I love this. We get this sort of leaping, exuberant energy. There is very much something otherworldly about this deck. I'm going to have to move this. That's going to bug me. Okay. Very much something otherworldly about this deck. But you can really see, when I think Fae, the sort of wildness of the Fae, this deck really seems to bring that energy in. Oh yes, this is what the backings look like. It is a glossy cardstock. You can see the mirroring there. It's the same amount of gloss as on my first edition Marielle Tarot, if that helps anybody with sort of understanding. I love that we have this sort of like mermaidy creature that's floating. He's got fire, but yet he's above water and earth, and he's in the air, and you get the idea of all those elements. There's something very, very potent. I love this High Priestess. At the end, I will pull a card and read from the guidebook. The guidebook is so wonderful. Oh, and there's our symbol there. One of my favorite things I did when I actually first got this deck was I went through every card and looked for that symbol. The Emperor. I love the Elder instead of the Hierophant. So much detail. The Lovers. There's our symbol there. I love we still have this duality. The Chariot, right at the heart of this beast. Oh, so good. Justice. This character here is, here's our symbol here in the center, balancing on this inverted sword, just on the point, balancing perfectly between dark and light. Hermit. There it is there. This character. These, again, this is another deck where I feel like the camera doesn't quite do it justice. I feel like I say that a lot, but sometimes there's just a feeling you get when you're up close and personal with the artwork. Strength. The Hanged Man. Death. Yes, I love that we have this sort of Celtic burial mound gateway sort of idea here. You'll see something similar in the Wildwood Tarot and in the Druidcraft, I believe. Very potent. This entire image is very potent. Temperance. Pan for the devil. I love the temptation and the lustiness of this card. The Tower. This is so good because this figure has sort of exploded their masks away. It may not always be pleasant, but it's often necessary. Excuse me. The Star. Oh. The Moon. Often what we fear is our own reflection, right? Looking at that. The Sun. This is the image from the cover of the box, and I love this. I love that we have almost like a spiral Tor kind of look here. It's not the Tor, we've got a tree up here, but it has that same sort of feel. And this idea of joining the dance. Judgment. I love this because you have a being here, and using this like big voice, you get this idea of the call, right? We talk about judgment often being hearing the call to step up or step into a new paradigm in our lives, step into growth, step into our next evolution. But you can see there's a fae on the top of every single one of these mountains, and each one is sending out that call. I just think that's such a potent image. The World. The Dreamer. Oh, the Dreamer of Air. Oh, no, sorry. The Dreamer. Dreamer 2. Oh, yes, this is the element of air. So the Dreamer is the element of air. And then we have Dreamer 2, Dreamer 3, etc. Okay, that's right. So here we have the clarity of mind. We get focused. Really cool here. The duality of the two with the black and the white. The 3. Yeah, so I believe the fairy symbols are only in the that great glyph of the she. Is hidden in every major, but not in every minor. Soul loss, it says. So I had to think about this one for a second when I first saw it too, because instead of a heart stabbed, we actually see a heart missing. And this gives you that sort of idea of a piece of the soul that is missing and a need to go and find it, right? But then in the front, we almost have these birds sort of feasting on her heart. It's actually quite an intense image to look at. The 4, restoration. Oh, I didn't even, was I looking at the keywords? 2, half moon truce. I wasn't. Okay, yeah, so half moon truce for the 2, soul loss for the 3, restoration for the 4. And of course, in the 4 of Swords, in our suit of air, we would see that idea of peace, of calm, of meditation, of rest. Hope discarded in the 5 of Swords. That feeling of defeat. I love the keywords in this. The Insight's Voyage for the 6. This is when we choose to move away from the difficulty, the conflict, when we grow from the lesson, when we sort of restore harmony. A Coward Betrays is Dreamer 7. It looks like he's been caught betraying. Web of Mirrors in the 8. How powerful is this as an image? Oh my goodness, because this is totally what the 8 of Swords experience is like. We're so hung up on what we think we should do, or we're hung up on the image of what we think we should do. We're paralyzed. It's that analysis paralysis. But it's a very self-focused place to be, isn't it? Nightmare in the 9. Desolation in the 10. So much happening here. The Dreamer Princess, which would be our page, I suppose, if you were compared to Rider-Waite-Smith. Gift of Telling. Ooh. The Prince, who would be our Knight. The Gift of Liberty. Freedom. There's definitely a freedom to the Knight of Swords, isn't there? Gift of Reason for the Dreamer Queen, who would be our Queen of Swords. Gift of Judgment for our King. Yes. And now we're into our next suit, which is the suit of fire. This is essentially the same as the Wands suit. And these meanings definitely follow Rider-Waite-Smith, but I like that they feel like they've gone their own way as well. So while in the Ace of Swords, we had that idea of sort of a burst of clarity, of a peaceful clarity, a peaceful knowing, this sort of deep truth. Here we have definitely that feeling of a burst of inspiration, almost like a volcanic eruption of excitement, something new to explore, to dive into. Power awakens in the Two. Yes. And my personal keyword for the Two of Wands is potential or planning. And you definitely see that here in the Power Awakens, this idea of being aware of one's potential. He could go either way, and he knows he'll be okay. Alignment in the Three. I love this idea of stepping through the doorway, of like things falling into place and being able to take that next step. Foundations blessed in the Four. Oh, I love this with the hands. Just like my first trip through these cards, I feel like each one just pulls me right in. I've been having that experience with some of my recent decks, and it's been just incredible. Action frustrated in the Five, that sort of stalemate, that blockage, that obstacle. And a lot of times these obstacles are caused by other people and not being in alignment with others. Six of Wands is our victory card. No foe too great. Love it. The Seven, a hero's challenge. This is a ferocious card and I love it. So up ahead, there's this whole line of fighters and she's coming with her wand or her sword of flame and she's going at it. She's maybe outnumbered. She may have odds stacked against her, but she's going to go for it. Dragon flight for the 8. And instead of 8 wands streaking across the sky, we have these dragons flying at top speed, flames going. Oh. The 9, we have the guardian. Yes, this is our person standing guard, protecting. Holding ground. And the 10 is the great task. This is so beautiful. So look, we have this figure here who has stretched out their arms so that these people can cross over the fire safely. How powerful of an image is that for the idea of burden and responsibility and taking on sometimes more than we can chew, but at the same time, the sort of necessity of the work. That's so good. So in our courts, and I love this, the whole gift of keywords to the court cards is so great. So the warrior princess has the gift of courage. The warrior prince has the gift of spirit. I guess this whole suit was warrior, right? Yeah. Warrior, warrior 2, warrior 3. Yeah, such a good keyword for the suit. So gift of spirit for the warrior prince. Gift of charm for the warrior queen. These are spot on. Rider-Waite-Smith. And glory for the warrior king. Yes, he's the visionary. He's the one that, like, yes, glory is such a great word for him. So good. And we're into water, and we have dancers in the water. Which makes sense when we think about it. The water, navigating the realm of emotion. What are we doing with our emotions except for dancing with them? Soulmates for the 2. That is beautiful. Jubilance for the 3. Such a playful, fun energy here. Vain reflection for the 4. Here's this person in the back and she's like, nah man, I'm good with what I've got. Where resides is the 5. And the sadness, you get this feeling of like a love going off to sea, possibly into stormy weather, or perhaps even like reminiscing over the fact that a love has been lost at sea, dwelling in the pain. But then in the 6, we have born of joy. And you have this circle of people, of figures down here holding hands, having birthed this joy. They're all in the water. That's really cool. In the 7, illusions, depths. Illusions, depths. Drawn into sort of a fantasy land here. Escaping stagnation in the 8. This is so powerful. I've seen some powerful 8 of Cups, but this is a very powerful one. We have this idea that these figures are drowning in this murky, stagnant water. There's a lack of growth, but up ahead is the path to grow, to evolve. The mountain is there. It's like sometimes we have to move away from what holds us back so that we can propel ourselves forward. I love that. Make a wish for the 9 of Cups. I love this so much because we see different kinds of wishes here. Oh. And the way that there's sort of bubbles being released into the air. I just love this so much. It's so emotive. Heart song for the 10. And we don't see that nuclear family or whatever. We don't see that traditional family. What we see instead is a community or a chosen family here. That idea of having everything you need. Love that. Oh, I forgot about the unicorn in the Page of Cups. How could I? How could I? But it's so perfect. So, of course, we have the gift of expression here with the Dancer Princess, and she is just lounging on her unicorn friend, daydreaming away. So perfect. The gift of passion for our prince or our Knight of Cups, with Dancer Prince in this deck. The Queen, we have the gift of truth. Well, that's interesting. Was the Queen of Swords gift of reason? I think she was. And I think the Queen, let's see. Gift of reason for the Queen of Swords, but gift of truth for the Queen of Cups. So that's something to chew on. Gift of wisdom for the King of Cups. And the King of Cups is just a wonderful advisor and helper and healer. So wisdom is such a great word. Look at this earthy fae in the maker. The makers are going to be our earthly cards. I love this. Responsibility for maker 2. This tree and this fae baby are connected through like an umbilical cord here into the tree. Both need to be sustained with life without too much giving or taking. So there's a balance, a delicate balance there. Labor's fruit in the 3. It's like that first bit of growth, that first bit of accomplishment. And maker 4, the greedy tree. This tree is holding on to way too many resources here. Hogging them all from the other trees. And there's all these little saplings fighting for sun through the very little bit that's escaping from the forest canopy, and they're trying so hard, but this one's holding on to all the resources. So this definitely takes it to the shadow side of the 4 of Pentacles. Winter's Bite for the 5. Aww. This tree is struggling, but the sun is just over there. Maker 6, generosity. Oh, sorry. I'm like looking at them, so sometimes they go out of frame a little bit. Maker 7, effort sustained. Interesting. So the 7 of Pentacles to me is about like sticking it out and seeing how it's all going to turn out. Maybe at that point when it would be easy to just go, it's not a guarantee, so I'm going to walk, right? It's that perseverance, and this really works for that. Emergence for the 8 of Pentacles. So there's definitely a real connection between these 2 cards. We have this idea that there was a success, right? Like you managed to make it through, and now there's a powerful stone circle here, and the magic is manifesting, and now it has to be sustained. Root and blossom for the 9. Again, very well resourced. There's water, there's sun, there's soil, everything you need to grow. Oh, there we go. The 10, kingdom prospers. Everyone's doing well in this scenario, right? In the 10, we have a legacy. Let's look at the courts. The princess has the gift of creativity. It's good because the Page of Pentacles, the Page of Earth in the tarot to me is somebody who's got ingenuity, they're resourceful. So there is a creativity to that character, somebody who's willing to kind of dig in the dirt and just make things happen. We have the gift of connection for the prince or the Knight of Earth. Maker Prince. The gift of healing for the Maker Queen or our Queen of Earth, Queen of Pentacles. And gift of skill with our Maker King. He's mastered his craft, and he's able to sustain his household with that craft. Yes. Okay, let's zoom us out. Let's see how this shuffles, and we'll pull a card. And we'll look at the book. I want to shuffle first, though, because I'm dying to shuffle this deck. All right. I'm so excited that I have this now. I will definitely be edging it in black. I just have to decide if I'm going to be trimming it or not first. I very likely will. I think it'll make it a really nice size, but let me see. I haven't even edged a deck recently. I've just been kind of playing with them as they come. Possibly because I've been working with like Marseille decks, and I worked with the Alchemical Tarot, and yeah. All right, let's set those aside and take a quick look at the guidebook. So it's one of these little, very nicely bound. It's got the crease here so you can open it without, you know, breaking the binding. So in this, we have some acknowledgements. There's the foreword by John Matthews. Introduction. This was fabulous, the whole introduction, because it really takes you into the mind of the creator. Talks about who or what the she are and the cards, as well as caring for your cards. And then it gets right into the major arcana. There is for every card, at least, is it just the majors that do this? No, I don't think the minors do this. No, the minors I think are more keyword based. Yes. So through the majors, you have sort of a write-up, some keywords, as well as some artist notes on all of the major arcana. Sorry, I should bring that in closer so you can see what I mean. When you get into the major, or sorry, the minors, let's just get there here real quick. When you get into the minor arcana, you have an introduction. There's a description of the 4 suits. And there's a description at the beginning of each suit. So we have a description of the Dreamers, which is the air suit. Oops, I bumped my camera. And then you have a little sort of poem. So for Dreamer 2, for example, now the mind is split in twain, the glorious whole is seen to wane, and 2 thoughts now must find a path to bring both peace and conquer wrath. And then there are keywords. It's really powerful, these little poems. Very, very, very potent. And then really great spreads in the back. So one of the things that attracted me to the Tarot of the She is that I had actually seen one of the spreads from this guidebook on, here it is. No, that's the hexagram relation. Here it is, the septagram spread of the whole self. Nina over at Shuffle Tarot did a video doing this spread, and I loved it so much that I put the spread in my permanent spread little black book. And now I have it available whenever, and I've used this spread several times way before I ever had this deck. So I knew there was something about this deck that was definitely calling me. But there is a relationship one, and there's also a career spread, and the whole self spread. And then there's some discussion about meditating and how to enter a card, which is basically your instructions for journey work, or sorry, path working. Altar focus cards, using them for magic. And there's a Sabbat list as well, and it tells you which major arcana you can work with for each of the 8 Sabbats, which is really cool. A little bit on connecting with the she. So let's pull a random card and see what the guidebook has to say about that card, and then we will close this one out. It is a similar cardstock, I feel like, to like the Marielle. I don't think it's really much different. All right, let's just pull one. How about that one? So let's see what the guidebook has to say about the Emperor. I am the firm hand that tames creation's chaos. I am the ever-virile seed, the fruits of cultivation. I am discipline, I am structure, I am the glorious kingdom and its leader. I am fire's form, the radiant halo of luminescence. You may know my protection, but those who cross me will feel my wrath, for I am the Father Emperor of all. Through me all things find substance, in my name comes the harvest. The teeming wildness of life may be made to serve my will. All obey me, fear me, love me, for I am the genesis of civilization. I will mold you into your true self. Take my path and you may inherit my kingdom. The keywords are structure, control, authority, yang, male fertility, power, civilization, fire, discipline, fatherhood, and patriarch. The artist notes, the Emperor is so full of yang energy. When the initial drawing was in its very early stages, my husband, who has very little knowledge of tarot, could tell which card it was just from a quick glance, as the word Emperor appeared in his mind. He is perhaps not the most subtle of cards. As we can see, the most dominant quality in this image is that of flame and fire, representing a very male, active energy. The fire bursts forth from the top of the Emperor's head, giving him a crown or a halo of power. That's really cool. But also hinting at the potential for an explosive temper. His hands are positioned in a way which echoes his partner, the Empress, and if the two cards are placed sequentially next to each other, they can be seen to reach for each other. Ooh, I wish I hadn't shuffled so I could show you that, but I've already shuffled. Whilst the Empress holds her gentle pink rose, the Emperor holds a rod or scepter, showing his firm approach. This is a symbol of rightful authority and also a phallic symbol of masculine fertility. It could also be a tool of punishment if the Emperor's orders are not obeyed, for though he can be protective and paternal, he does not take kindly to being crossed. More obviously than reaching for the Empress, he is also gesturing towards his kingdom. This is significant as the Emperor represents the man-made structures or civilizations which are successfully built upon the strong foundation of the Empress's fertile land. Another obvious feature of the card is the autumn leaves and fruits of the harvest that may be seen in the Emperor's cloak. This quality of harnessing the power of nature and cultivating it in order to reap the benefits of the potential is a significant part of this card, and it is here that the glyph is placed. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. Around his neck is a torque, an ancient Celtic symbol of nobility. We can also see a symbol of a winding snake on his chest. This is more than another symbol of male fertility. You may wish to meditate on this symbol to reach further insights. As I was writing this description, the word Dagda eased itself into the front of my brain. Though he doesn't appear to be a traditional rendering of this ancient Celtic father god, it is certainly an appropriate allocation. Wow, so there's lots in the artist notes through the major arcana, and then you get something a little bit more simple in the minors. So Maker 4, just so we can see what a minor is like. So Maker 4, when one great tree keeps all the light and rain to feed its greedy might, then no new life may grow around, leaving sad and empty ground. Greed, overprotective, stability, static, oppressive, selfish, fear of loss. That is so cool. So yeah, I'm very, very pleased that I picked this deck up. I think it's going to be really juicy to work with. I think it's going to be wonderful to work with around the Sabbats for sure. And I could definitely see pulling this deck out specifically around times like midsummer. Oh, they don't want a fan. That's the one thing about glossy cardstocks. There we go. We're getting there in the end though, aren't we? Perfect. Thank you so much for hanging out with me as we took this trip through the Tarot of the She. I'm really excited that I finally got this deck in hand. I'm glad this was the one I picked from my last Say Yes to the Deck. I look forward to hearing your impressions down below. Let me know if this is a deck that you have. Is it a deck that you want? Do you have any thoughts on it? Were you rooting for this one in Say Yes to the Deck? Let me know. Remember, you can always book a reading over at supportivetarot.com. Remember to like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!